75th year of the NBA. I don't know. It feels like I was in that game for 75 years. We did an overtime. The preseason's not long enough. Those people couldn't stay in the arena any longer. We had to call a foul on a guy that was on the floor. The only way they could tie the game, Doug, was a 4-point play. And guess what? Their prayers were answered. Somebody's prayers, some evil prayers were answered. And the Pacers tied up, taking it overtime, winning overtime. Really not the story of the game, but became the story of the game for breaking the cardinal rule of preseason, which is we don't need any more preseason.
Yeah, look, I mean, you can blame that on Tijon Salon if you want for some reason getting an inbounds pass, receiving an inbounds pass, and then throwing it to the other end of the floor would have been a backcourt violation had it not gone into the sixth row. So you can
I
blame it
mean,
on him. That turnover would lead to the possession with a 4-point play happened. You could blame KJ Simpson, who did tap on the maybe made contact, maybe not. I don't know. You could blame the refs who clearly did not want to go home to their significant others. They wanted to stay. You could blame all of those people, and I think you would be fair to do that. I choose to blame Nick Richards, who
okay.
who called for the review of an out of bounds play in like the first quarter. Cardinal sin in my book. You don't review in the first half. I don't know if it was the first or second quarter. It doesn't matter. You don't review in the first half. Charles Lee did, and they lost that challenge because of Nick Richards. So
Why
that's
are we
my blame.
reviewing? Yeah, why are we reviewing in the preseason? When you come to think of it, what are we doing,
I know.
guys? Let's just get to the real stuff. Okay, so put that aside if you can, if anyone can,
I'll try.
and for the five of us that were watching this and not the baseball game or an NFL football game tonight, what we saw was from your mouth, Doug, to God's ears, the best quarter of Hornets basketball of the preseason in that second quarter. I mean, they really turned it up. I thought got super aggressive on defense. And hello, Mr. Brandon Miller, paging Mr. Brandon Miller on fire, 5 of 7 in the first half from three, a vicious baptismal thrunk over Miles Turner. And yeah, I mean, a really impressive. I thought mostly defensive effort, and then the offense kind of got going, and the guys were able to find some open shots, and some of those threes just started piling up. But a good quarter there against the Pacers starters. I mean, the Pacers starters didn't stop playing there. No, no, they played into the third quarter, and we can get to that. But I thought that second quarter was a big one for Charles Lee and his new Hornets.
Yeah, you called that dunk on Miles Turner a baptism. I think it was an exorcism. Like I'm glad that it happened to Miles Turner because Miles was a player that was constantly in trade rumors for the Hornets
Oh yeah,
and became sort of emblematic for me of a Hornets organization that refused to pull any kind of triggers, to push any kind of buttons to make their team better. They were just so afraid of being good and having a legitimate center rotation for some reason. So that I love that it had look, that's not Miles Turner's fault. So, but I'm glad that that
yeah.
dunk happened to him because yeah, it represented an exorcism for me of sorts. But Brandon Miller's the real deal. I mean, we knew that coming into this game. We didn't need this game as proof. But yeah, I mean, you're going to walk away from this game being really excited about because we haven't even seen like full game Brandon Miller yet, right? And I think there's a level that he hasn't even turned it up. I think there's a level of him learning how to be a creator. Learning to get a little bit more physical on the defensive end of the floor. So, but yeah, you're right about the second quarter, man. They turned it up. I was watching on the stream, not the Pacer stream, but like the mobile stream. You ever watched it on the mobile stream on League Pass? So
Oh
what it
boy.
does, it puts you up close. Like you don't see the whole floor like you would on a normal broadcast. You really got to get close up on the one-on-one matchups. So I'm like watching the second quarter like that, and I'm like, man, I don't know if this because of the close-up or what, but these Hornets are getting handsy.
Yeah.
But they were, man, they were physical.
Yeah, and you gotta think that was a bit of a call out from Charles Lee because to start the game, Miles Turner was having his way with everyone, Nick Richards included. He hit a couple early threes, and that really opened up things for Indiana. It let them get to the basket super easy. You had Halliburton get an easy drive in a couple times. I think it was Nimhard who got into the basket easy, but they hit a lot of their shots. They only missed like one shot in maybe the first half of that first quarter. So they started off super hot, and then the Hornets, made some adjustments, got a lot more aggressive. The Pacers themselves, came out starting up in the jerseys of the Hornets, especially LaMelo and Brandon Miller. So maybe that was just a little bit of feeling the Pacers out, but whatever it was, they flipped a switch in that second quarter and played a lot better. And that's the thing, like it's in there, right? Like some message is getting through to them. Some of this teaching and practicing and philosophy is sinking in. And so they can point to that and say, hey, look, this is what we need. We don't need to start off as we did. And even with that sluggish start or the Pacers hot start, like, the Hornets weren't out of the game. They were only, it was only like a, I don't know, 6 or 8 point game basically the whole way. So when the Hornets started hitting, it just kinda steamrolled on the Pacers, and they did not shoot well for a majority of the night. But yeah, Brandon Miller was the best player on the floor, like, without a doubt.
Best scorer on the floor for sure. I mean, 20 points, no
Yeah,
rebounds, one assist, but 6 of 10 from the field. And I mean, incredible hot start. Did get to the free throw line for 3 attempts. That's good. But and LaMelo Ball, again, they only played a half, but LaMelo Ball, a little
yeah,
bit of a no show in this game. 3 points, one rebound, 4 assists. And again, I'm not going to make like crazy
yeah,
proclamations or things. It's just something to keep an eye on as we move through the season. Like who's going to take that lead scoring role, and because I think Lamelo is still in the mindset that that's his role because it was for many years, and then he got
maybe.
injured a lot, and then they drafted Brandon Miller, and I think things have changed. Hey DJ, hey Evan, thanks for jumping in the chat. Hey Javier, hey Amber, what's going on? Thanks for supporting
Javier did not like Quinn Buckner and his partner for the Pacers
Quinn.
tonight.
Man, I had some great Quinter moments, like when I think it was Nick Smith Jr. who rolled his ankle, and he made some kind of joke about it, and he goes, "I don't want to make light of it." It's like, bro, you just did. You
Yeah.
may not have wanted to, but you definitely did. Let's
Real
yeah.
quick, Amber, if y'all are investing in Hornets futures, who would you be high on? I mean, it's pretty obvious. I want my kids to find a new player to root for. I think KJ Simpson Jr. would be a good choice. I think Trey Mann is the people's choice there, Amber. You can't go wrong unless he plays so well
That's the
that,
thing.
that
Yeah,
that the
you're gonna
value
buy
is too
those
much.
futures and get bought out, like
Yeah.
before the price skyrockets because they're gonna trade him. Yeah, I mean I think that's a big danger with Trey Man. That's why like I'm getting excited about him, but I'm trying to like leave a level of like air gap space between my love for him. I'm not like fully going all in until he makes it through this season. If he makes it past this season, then I might go for the jersey. Then I might
And
start
that's
wanting it.
yeah, and that's a tip. Maybe we'll touch on this as we get closer, like to the regular season. But I'd give it a few regular season games too, because preseason is preseason for a reason. As we saw tonight with that nonsensical mess at the end, we love Trey Man, and we love he almost did no wrong in the preseason. So stock is skyrocketing. But let's see how it plays out. Let's see how they play him. But certainly, I think that's the niche pick. Like if
Yeah.
you want to be if NBA hipster, you're going Trey Man.
Well, let me say a couple of things. I'm buying KJ Simpson stock. I'm not buying a lot of it, but I'm buying a little KJ Simpson stock. Second round pick. The guard rotation is super deep right now. You're not going to see any of him this season unless something goes disastrously wrong. But KJ Simpson, the way he plays defense, I think he's always going to be a factor for Charles Lee as long as he's with the Hornets. So just give that a couple of years. I'm selling Harry Giles. I'm selling Nick Smith Jr. Man, 14 points in this game, but he took the most shots of any player in this game, 4 of 16 from the field. Like he's forgot how to shoot. I
Well, he
mean,
kinda
go
had
back to
to
summer
too with
league.
that group he was in a little bit towards the end. I mean, he took a bunch towards the end trying to get that W back, and at least
First game back. Okay,
he
I've been,
blew a tire too, as Quinn
yeah.
said, so hopefully he's okay. He seemed to play the rest of the game, but he had a weird kinda tweak of his foot there, but he looks okay.
I'm buying
Uh,
TJ. I'm buying TJ
oh,
stock, buddy.
get
I'm
in
gobbling
on the
up. I'm
ground
gobbling it up.
floor. Yeah. Yeah, Evan says Trey Man and Tijon, and Evan also bought a Trey Man jersey last year. So you want to talk about NBA hipsters? You're all over it there. Yeah, just a little bit on Lamelo, Doug. Not his greatest preseason game. We saw plenty of good in the preseason from him. And so I'm just ready to get to the regular season with LaMelo. Like, it wasn't a great Halliburton game either. Turner was really good for a long stretch of that first period. LaMelo just never really found his rhythm, and Brandon was getting super not super easy, but he was getting really good looks that got him going, and they just kept going to him. LaMelo, a foul here or there that you could do without, and some of the bad LaMelo, I think, that maybe we were hoping was getting a little more filtered out, reared its ugly head a little bit more in this matchup. But
He's still
again,
committing silly fouls. Like, I mean,
yeah,
there was one that he got where he got his head up under Miles Turner. It was an off-ball foul. It's just like the kind of like if he's your superstar, it's the kind of foul those guys don't get. It's the kind of foul that Tyrese Halliburton doesn't get because he's not trying to commit it. You know?
mhm. Yeah, he had a good defensive possession where he did fight through a screen. I think it was on McConnell, and then he dug down and knocked the ball away from, I want to say, Turner in the post. Got a steal going the other way. So there's still stuff there, and like I think this season with he and Charles Lee, like I don't think it's going to be a game one complete revamp of Lamelo Ball as an NBA player. I mean, I do think it's going to be a bit of a process, but you're so excited by what he can bring you. And Brandon Miller is just pedal to the metal right now. It'll be fun to watch those guys kind of play off each other. At least we hope. No Miles Bridges, no Trey Mann tonight, nursing those minor injuries.
No, Josh
Um,
Green still a little worried about him
yep,
actually making his regular season debut because we haven't seen him since he tweaked something in like a non-contact fashion, and
yeah,
because the Hornets can. I mean, they sometimes are mysterious about injuries even when they're not supposed to be. So certainly when they have every right to be because it's the preseason and they don't make you, then they're taking advantage of that. So we have no idea what's going on with Josh, but as the regular season gets closer, they will have to report that stuff. So we'll
yeah,
find out. We'll find out more and talk about that. Amber saying that they're looking for the more diamond in the rough. I mean, you could also look at Musa Diabate. I mean, I love this guy too. You know what? You know, it's funny. Like
man.
I was
Amber's
watching.
one with the deep cuts. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I love Musa Diabate. The
Yep.
blocks, the block shot that he had on James Wiseman, where he just comes out of nowhere and
It
jumps.
wasn't even in the screen, Doug. Wasn't even on that side of the floor. Came out of nowhere enough for Quinn Buckner to say, "I don't think anybody saw that coming." No, no one saw
No,
it coming.
no, and you know what? And shouts to the guys. So they stopped playing any starters after the first half.
Yep.
But Carlisle, I think this is only the fourth preseason game. I don't know if they're going to play a fifth, if Indy's going to play a fifth, but so Indy was getting their starters a lot of minutes, and they played them through the third quarter. So the
Yes.
bench players had to go up against the starters, and I thought did really well, including Tijon Salon
Yep.
and Musa Diabate. I thought both of those guys kept their composure, played well. I saw some TJ Sally unselfish moments where he wasn't, immediately looking to get a shot up. He was, yeah, there was a play in transition where he caught it on the wing, could have easily pulled up for three, but hit a cutter perfectly. I think it was Diabate hit him perfectly on
Yes.
the run. Like that's a tough pass to make. NBA players make that stuff look easy. We see it a lot. We take it for granted, but that like hitting a guy on the move in that instant, like that's a pass. You
Yeah.
go, okay, okay, Sally's got some skill.
Caught it and released it on the money, right? A little hot
Yeah.
potato action, didn't fumble it. Yeah, that second group, you're right. Rick Carlisle went back with his starters to start the third quarter. The Hornets did not.
Evan
Um,
said. Evan said saw someone call him Type Two Diabate.
oh, okay. We can workshop that.
He's dangerous. You got to
Um,
monitor him.
but yeah, no, that second group real quick pushed that 12-point halftime lead out to 16. I mean, look, that to me, the game was over. Not to everyone else. Still was watching, but to me, that was kind of the icing on the cake to the whole preseason. And it's a bit of a shame that I know those guys are going to be annoyed because the place got a little juice into it when that 4-point play went in. But I think on the flip side of that, you just got to hope like they can you take the good, you take the bad. You take them both, and there you have it, Doug, and maybe they can use a little motivation to get back and actually get a win on opening night because that had to be annoying. They played certainly well enough, and they won the game that mattered.
That's what we used to say about Jeremy Lamb. You take the good, you take the
That's
bad,
right,
and there you have the facts of Lamb.
generally.
By the way, a little dad chat. I got in trouble today because I took down, even though it's like 5 days beyond the third birthday, I took down the pink streamers on
Right.
they were over here and they were over where my office was. So I finally took them down and got in trouble. But I did leave the happy birthday sign. I felt like if I took that down, I'd be sleeping outside tonight. So
You're gonna
I'm
want
gonna be warm in my bed tonight, thanks to that good decision
Yeah, you're gonna wanna leave that up till you can replace it with, Christmas decorations,
making.
and you'll
Halloween,
be
man.
good again.
My kid is like full on. This was not. We didn't plant this in her head or anything. And honestly, like I've never been a big Halloween person. Like I will dress sometimes,
Oh, it's
but
yeah.
she has got the Halloween bug.
It's captured by a new generation now. It was fun when we were growing up, but now I mean, people, these lawns around here, I mean, come on. Now I could get a Christmas tree out there, but these 10-foot skeletons that are popping up across the lawns in my neighborhood are freaking me out. Anything else, man? We're running late after that overtime. Any other big thoughts as we head into the regular season next week?
Oh, let's pull up my notes here. Yeah, way more physical. NSJ rolls his
Yeah.
ankle. That's no good. We got to that. Got to the Tijon fireball. The only thing I'll say about Tijon, I mean, obviously that play at the end of the game where he just does it. He's not, a crunch time situation, not processing it, getting the ball and then throwing it on the wrong end of the court. Obviously, it doesn't matter in that preseason game, but I think it is indicative of this thing that I've been talking about, which is like Tijon Salon has surprised me and impressed me with how quickly he's adapting. I compared him to a Borg drone in the chat. More Star Trek talk for you there, David. I know you love it, but he adapts very quickly, and that's a promising sign. But at the same time, when if you're head coach Lee and your edict is to gain the respect of the locker room, that means that you're going to want to compete with the best players every night. And not only the best players, but the players that give you the best, better than not chance of winning when the ball is in their hands. Like whatever you think about Cody Martin and his skill set, when the ball's in his hands, he's not going to do insane things with it. But it's just things that everybody you can anticipate what a guy's going to do because you know how that person plays, and that person plays in a consistent winning manner. That's what Nick has to do, or Nick. That's what Tijon has to do to get to that place where he can be a major rotation on a team that is trying to win. Now, later on, if they decide they don't want to win anymore, then that's a whole nother ball game. But that's,
Sure.
you know, I continue to be impressed by Salon, but like after every one of these preseason games, I'm always like, yeah, but he's not ready for whatever that role is.
I mean, 19 years old, there's still a
Right.
ton of teaching going on. You see when he goes to the sidelines, Charles Lee is grabbing him and giving him, talking, coaching him up, giving him some notes in game, pointing to something that just happened on the other end. So like the fact that he's even out there and he doesn't look completely flummoxed and overwhelmed most of the time is encouraging. You add that onto his physical traits and the stuff that you've seen that it can do. We don't got to worry about confidence. We know that much. That shot's going up. But even that, like, even then, I'm like, oh God, he's getting ready to fire this one up. But he thinks twice about some of those that are really crazy, So
Yeah.
it's going to be fun to monitor him. I think it's probably wise to tamper it down just a bit based on the highs of the preseason on what we might see on opening night. But we don't know. We don't know yet. This is a new regime, and they certainly they have to like what they're seeing out of him. So he's bringing something new to the team. Diabate is bringing some of that energy too, and they need to get these guys healthy, and they need to come back to Charlotte. And Charles Lee needs to answer for this overtime game. I want someone in the media to ask him why he didn't tell everyone on that floor, stay away from everyone. Don't dive on the floor. Stop even moving. We need to get back to Charlotte. We need to get our flight. And I'm just kidding, Charles Lee.
No, that's not no, Charles Lee wanted to win that game desperately, and he would have
He
gone
did.
to 7 overtime. That was Charles Manson Lee. Like, when at the end of game, like, he gets murderous, he gets psychotic, he gets cult-like in his desire, to win basketball games. As I scroll through the box score here, I mean, Grant Williams still getting back into the groove, but it was nice to see him hit some shots.
Yep.
But he's obviously like him and Nick Smith Jr. and Cody Martin, who premiered in this game as well. I mean, it's going to take them I don't think Nick Smith Jr. is going to have really a role in the rotation, but for Cody Martin and for Grant Williams, it's going to take them a couple games to kind of get back on again.
Looked a little clunky. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same with
looks a
Josh
little
Green.
clunky.
Like when he eventually comes back, yeah, that's what preseason. Even though they're not playing full games, just those halves and or 3/4 of a game. That's just kind of getting you into game speed where you're ready to roll. So like we haven't, like the Grant Williams that I've seen in the past 2 games is not the Grant Williams that I remember from last season, and I think he's just got to get in gear.
Yeah. Well, it all gets underway for real deal Holyfield next Wednesday, Doug.
They shot a lot of threes, particularly in the first
A
half,
ton of threes.
in the second half. So tomorrow on Locked On Hornets, I'll give you a few numbers on 3-point attempt rate, where it's going in the league, where the Hornets are, what it all means, how much of it is league. So we'll get into it
Yeah.
all. They are, but spoiler alert, they're taking a bleep ton of threes.
I like it. I like it. That's what the Celtics did. And the top two teams in the league last season in three-pointers were, I believe, the Celtics and the Mavericks. So that means the Hornets might be going to the finals. I don't know. We'll see.
I think they might be onto something.
All right.
By the way, I almost got lucky because this game took so long that it was almost her birthday again. I could have just left
Oh
it
my
up.
God.
A couple more OTs. Could have just
Oh my God.
reused, recycle, reuse.
I need an investigation. I want an investigation of the officials, the arena, the scorekeeper, the announcers. This can't stand. I need a 30 for a 30 for this. This is unbelievable. All right. Well, they'll face off against Houston, which will not be an easy game on the road, Doug, next week, and we'll talk
Yep.
about it all leading up to it.
Peace.
All right. Go Hornets. Go America.
Let's swarm Charlotte.
Peace out.